Namaste. Let's go live on the last day of November, actually November 2019 in the Southern Hemisphere, which means this is the last day of spring. Now I'm aware that there's a pretty strong wind, but it's going to be sort of beside me and then behind me, so hopefully it won't be too bad. So I've ridden 38 kilometres this morning. Just wait for this car, which is setting a new slow speed driving record. He's driving so slow he's actually going backwards. Wow. Okay, I'm making that one up. So wait for this bicycle. Really having trouble getting this underway. So this morning is a topic that we can all relate to. It's relating to romantic relationships, the importance of it in our life, and what I've learned in how to improve it, improve our romantic relationships so that we end up getting the most out of it, getting the most benefits in that. So what I want to do is go back to basics to start understanding how to improve our romantic relationship. So let's go back to asking ourselves a few questions. We start with a really obvious one is, wow, I'm getting every traffic light, I'm getting everything this morning, is why do we even desire a romantic relationship? Why is it important to us? Oh, my bike feels funny. Must have a lot of weight on the back from the markets. Why is it, let's see if I can focus here this morning. Oh, and by the way, we had some rain last night. Woo! Not for too long, but my God, it was a relief. I was nearly crying with happiness. Okay, romantic relationships. The deepest desire, here comes the wind. The deepest desire for all of us is to connect on the strongest level with someone and to be able to feel trust, safety, security, compatibility, understanding, acceptance, responsibility, trust, to be, wow. And the wind's changed direction. Oh, good. This is really going well, this live stream. This was not meant to be blowing this way. Oh, wow. So, yeah. And the bike is just feeling really funny. Okay, so that is our deepest desire is the need to love and be loved, something that I talk about very, very often. And we express this, or we search for this, in a very practical way in our connection with other people. And all of our connections is a form of relationship, of course. All of our connections with our friends, our family, our children, our parents, our workmates, our neighbours, all of that is different levels of relationships which are well documented in psychological understanding. But what I'm talking about here is the one that's closest to our heart, the reason why we desire it, and some good morning, Lazviminda, all the way from Japan. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Thank you for watching. Let's go back to the question, why do we desire so strongly something that actually can be the source of such great personal pain that we can decide at some point in our life that we just can't handle the pain anymore, and we choose not to follow the desire to have romantic relationships, which of course is sad. Oh, come on, wind. Bear with me a second here. I'll get round this corner and I'll have like my 6th attempt to restart this live stream and get focused here. So just hang on. Oh boy. Hang on a second. Right, round the corner. Okay, there we go. I really didn't think the wind would be blowing that way along that street, but it was. Anyway, let's go back to basics. Our deepest need is to love and be loved. And the way that we look for this in this world is with somebody of the same species. Actually, I'll expand on that. That's actually one of the ways we look for it. We also look for it with our companion animals and with our plants and so forth. But it's not a romantic connection. I'm talking about a romantic connection. So the desire and the need for that is so strong because it is a reflection of our deepest desire to feel loved, to feel connected. The expression is no man is an island, which means that we can't live without that connection. And if we're not finding it in a romantic sense, then we look for it in other ways, like with companion animals and so forth. But the important thing to realise, one of the things that helps make a romantic relationship work, is realising where the need for it comes from, where the desire for it comes from. And after decades and decades and decades of experiences and understandings and learnings for myself and experiences, I said experiences, must have been a lot of experiences, I said it twice. After decades of that, I was able to look at what works and what doesn't work, and I was able to come to understandings of things that are just important in a romantic relationship. Things that are crucial, not just important, things that are crucial in a romantic relationship. So our deepest need is actually a spiritual love. Now, we should be fulfilling that in a spiritual sense. We should be connecting in a spiritual sense. However, there is nothing wrong with having a romantic relationship with someone in a material sense, in a physical sense, as long as we bring in that understanding of where the need is, so that it's not selfishly based, and we understand that it is our duty to serve others. And in so doing, we form relationships with others where the most beautiful connection is when we can be of service, when we can be there for someone, when we bring responsibility, when we replace selfishness with responsibility. Early on in my experiences with romantic relationships, I made the mistake many times of following the model that is presented to us by Hollywood, basically, which is a terrible understanding of how to form a relationship. It's a very self-centered, instant gratification sort of model that is presented through the media and movies and so forth. And so I made the mistake of following that, and it's a very short-sighted way of doing things, and it doesn't lead to any sort of long-term fulfilling commitment. At the most, you might end up with a short-term sexual connection, but not a long-term one built on trust, because it's coming from a place of satisfying our own desires rather than a place of being there for someone else. So the most crucial thing that we can do in life is be of service to others to help lift them up. And in a romantic relationship, one of the things that I've found strengthens the relationship is if there's actually 3 people in the relationship, not 2. In other words, the 2 people in the relationship are both focusing on something beyond the relationship. And in a spiritual sense, they're focusing on the spiritual aspect of the relationship and the importance of being there for each other in a very responsible way. So as nice as it is to have a strong connection physically, as you know, nice as it is to have a good sexual compatibility, a great emotional connection, what I find, of course, is the best is just the ability to be on the same wavelength with the person that you're with, to be able to sort of feel like they're inside your mind and you're inside theirs, and that their values of of peace and harmony and compassion and respect for all life, that these values are being reflected. If they're not, then what you have is just a very self-centered connection where you're just trying to satisfy your own desires. And, you know, that's what we see a lot of in the world, and that's what is destined to create short-term, unsatisfying relationships. So if you're in a romantic relationship that maybe started off that way, the advice that I could give to improve it is to focus on a higher goal for both of you. To be of service, to be there as a responsible person who can be trusted, who is dependable, who has the best interests of the other person in mind. And you can do this, you'll know when you're at that point, because what you'll want for the other person is for them to be genuinely happy. And when you feel that for the other person, that is a wonderful realization that you're at a point where it's not about your happiness, it's about the holistic connection, it's about doing the right thing for your partner and for everyone else on the planet, and it's about working together as a team to try and lift humanity out of the hole that it's fallen into. And I can think of nothing more satisfying in a connection with someone than this working as a team together with higher goals. And if you have a connection with someone where you feel that you can do that because you know that you can trust them, that they're there for you, that that you feel safe with them, and that is, you know, that's reciprocated. They feel the same way. They feel that safety and that trust and so forth. If you have that connection, then you're in a wonderful space, and you have a great ability to be of service to each other, to do the right thing by each other, to lift each other up, and to be of service to humanity, to the animals, to the planet, to be a powerful force for the good of every living being. So that's some basic understanding that the relationships that we form, if we're talking about a romantic relationship, is a reflection of our need to feel connected on the deepest spiritual level. And so we should be aware of that, and we should bring that in as an understanding into the relationship, and both have a respect for the source that we all come from, and both have an understanding of that is what powers us in the first place. That is what powers our desires and our needs, and basically pay homage to that source and realize, with gratitude, that is why, how we are here, that is why things occur the way they do, and so forth. So it's really important to bring that component into your romantic relationship so that you lift it to a higher level that's beyond just trying to be two people bumping into each other and satisfying selfishly ourselves. So I hope that makes some sense. There were some other points I was going to make, but I'm just battling against the wind today, and it's just not working the way I was hoping it would. So maybe when I've got a clearer day where it's less windy, I'll do, and I'll revisit this subject. Thank you for watching. I hope that made some sense. Remember to live vegan and save lives, and I'll speak to you soon. Ahimsa.